Hello, welcome everybody. I am so glad that you're here. Sorry, I've got one of our cats about fell off of the little nightstand next to me. I didn't want her to fall and make a big noise. Um, I am so glad that you're here, and welcome to Meet Me Monday. I am Karma with Lewis Acre Farm, and I am so excited about today. This is an interview that I have been wanting to do for quite some time. Got a wrestling match behind me. This is something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, and we just haven't been able to get it coordinated. Today we have Mary with Blessed2Crochet, and she and I have a lot in common, and you'll find out a lot of that today during our interview. And so sit back and relax and let's get to know Mary. Welcome, Mary. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
This has been a while in getting this pulled together, and I'm just so excited. This is going to be good. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. A little tired from yesterday. We had a big day with my daughter, and so, but I'm doing good. Yeah. Keep it moving forward. That's what we have to do.
Absolutely.
I'll be doing some crochet in a movie later today.
Yeah.
For sure.
I miss crochet. I miss it.
Oh, it is such a helpful tool for my fibromyalgia. It's the one thing that goes, it's like, if I don't do it for a couple days, I get that itch. I got to crochet. And I've got some blankets that are actually commissioned for us to do. So they've got to get done.
That's how I feel about gardening now. Gardening doesn't require the fine motor skills that I've lost as a result of my accident 10 years ago.
Oh.
So, pardon all the noises in the background.
Okay. We'll hear about the connection. And so that people understand, first of all, I want to say very clearly, I know it says Blessed2Crochet, but you do not have to know one single crochet to a double crochet to anything to be a part of it. Our saying is, we're blessed to crochet. What are you blessed to do? Now, this channel is, I'm on the face of it a lot, but it is really my mom's channel. Her name is Kathy. She's more the green thumb of the family. It's not this girl. I'd rather be a yarn thumb as far as I'm concerned. But when we started it to show off our crochet, and she does some knitting. And I said, Mom, what if we just start doing this, and I'll gladly do the lives. And I needed it for the connection. So the fact that we even got monetized was surprising. And I just said, Mom, you get all the monetization. All I want is the connection. That's my reward. That's another thing I put in my toolbox to deal with fibromyalgia is connection. So I'm on the face, but it's really my mama's channel.
I think that's so awesome.
She's getting more into wanting to come on a little bit more often. So we're getting her on certain things, but she still wants to be in the background, which is fine. And my therapist has even said, I think this thing and you having this connection is probably one of the best healing things you've ever done. And I'm like, yeah, I agree.
Well, if Mama wants to come on and say hello, she's more than welcome to.
She gets, every once in a while, she gets a Thursday headache that's come on Monday. So I know she's resting with the 50-pound Staffordshire Bull Terrier named Mocha, who's the superstar on our channel. She has a lot of he has a short that got to 10,000 views.
Oh, wow.
So she's cuddling in bed and resting. And then, I was going to do a devotion because we didn't get a devotion done yesterday. And I was going to do a devotion with her today, and I don't think she's going to be up. So we'll do it tomorrow. It's fine. It'll work. Yeah. But
well, let's start first of all by welcoming everybody that's in chat so far. Let's see. Logan is here. Logan, for those who don't know, is my husband. He just recently started a new job, and he officially has a real schedule now, and he has Sundays and Mondays off. So this is his Sunday. And he's here. Megan Jeffrey, welcome. You're new here for me. You must be here from Blessed2Crochet, Mary's channel. And I'm so glad that you're here. Heaven's Fire, Heather, thank you for being here. Nice to see you. Let's see. DNV 1983, welcome. Another new one for me. Wounds to Wisdom, Teresa, glad that you're here also. Another new one for me. Thank you for being here. I do so appreciate it. And there are a lot of people that choose to watch in the background, and you are so important to me. I do appreciate my silent listeners. They are as valuable as those who choose to chat. So, and as we go along, there will be more that show up. It takes a little bit to generate
those notifications out.
Yes, absolutely. So anyway, let's just start off. First of all, tell me just a little bit about you. And since this is your mom's channel, maybe just tell us a little bit about your mom.
Well, my mom is probably my biggest fan, and certainly my biggest rock. I've told her she can't leave this world till she's at least 150. Her name is Kathy. She was actually born in Scotland when she was 4 months old. My grandmother was raised and born in Scotland, and then married an American soldier, which was my grandfather, who was Greek. And they got married over in Scotland. And then, of course, my mother came along, and she came over to this country when she was 4 months old. And we are actually living in the same town as which my mother grew up in. And cool. Then she spent time here, and then some in New York, and then eventually moved down to Florida, where she met my dad through college, and stayed there for 50 years. And she thought she was going to stay in Florida forever. But when my grandmother passed away, we have a very tiny family on my side, not on my husband's side, but on ours. It's just a teeny tiny little family. Mm-hmm. And so we made the decision, because Christina graduated high school and was in her 20s. We said, if anything happens to any one of us, she is going to have no support. And us dealing with a high functioning autistic individual thought it was wise. So my husband has he has 3 siblings, but they're very wide in ages. And so his sister's in her late 20s. And at that time she had 3 kids. Now she has 4. And his mother's in Cincinnati, and there's other family in Indiana. And we just thought, at least if we go there, then we have some support if anything did happen. And of course, having my daughter and my sister-in-law were very close in ages, and they're very good together, we thought this would be a great thing to have some support. So we did that. I never in a million years thought of that my daughter was going to get married, but she did. God knows.
Right.
Don't doubt, right? And she got married to a wonderful young man. His name is Jared, and they met through eHarmony, and he actually lived up in this area of the woods. So when my daughter and him got engaged, it was like, well, we're moving again. So we moved up here, so we're not on top of them. But again, she's our only child. My husband adopted her officially last year, and as an adult, but officially adopted Christina. And so we just said, she still needs that. There's a difference. He was raised with 3 other brothers, so it's a much different world than when it's a mother and daughter. And she just really needed that support. There's been times where she's just called up and said, Mom, Can you bring Mocha, please? Which Mocha is actually her dog. They can't have
Mhm.
dogs where they are now. And I need that, or I need you, or she's going to the dentist in a couple weeks. Mom, can you come along, please? And so there's still that support that's needed. So we're still
Right.
in where we can get to his family, but that's how we winded up in Ohio, was because we just didn't have enough family down there we just thought if anything happened, there's no support for Christina.
Right.
So I am someone who has raised one autistic individual, and God certainly got us through. I don't know how, by the grace of God.
Absolutely.
Who at the age of 13 became a diabetic. So I had that. I also was diagnosed with fibromyalgia when she was 13 years old. So I have that. I've been through the having to deal with somebody in our family who had dementia, and also dealing with addicts in our family and so forth like that. And I don't want to dwell on those things, but I think that the more important that we can talk about them and
Mhm.
people don't feel like they're alone is so
Right.
important. I've also been through an abusive first marriage and literally had to flee for my life. I've been married to my current husband for 18 years. We will be
Oh,
celebrating our
that's
18th wedding
beautiful.
anniversary this year. He is truly my best friend. Um, Josh got diagnosed last year with what is called Klinefelter syndrome. So that's something that's well known. Excuse me. That's not something that's well known. It means that he has an extra chromosome happening within his body. And so he's been talking about that a little bit so that it can make aware that it's
Mhm.
something that may need to be tested, and some that may be questioning some of the symptoms that he's experiencing. So that's been a challenge because we've been learning all about that. And unfortunately, the doctors don't know much because they don't know how to deal with a 47-year-old man that has it.
Right.
So that's been a challenge that God said, okay, how do you deal with this? The doctors don't know, and then the children doctors don't want to deal with him because he's not a child. So it's very rare, but he is a miracle because 60% of all Klinefelter's patients don't make it through term, and his mother also didn't do prenatal care and hid her pregnancy. So the fact that he's even here, God had a plan for him.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. So he's truly my best friend, and just the minute we got married, just treated Christina as his own. And it showed yesterday. We went to the pool. She goes, "Mom, can we go to the Y and go swim in the pool?" Went to the pool, and we went in and came out. And there she is in her bathing suit and her little jacket over her. And she's walking out in flip flops, and it's like 40 degrees. And she's like, "It's not cold out here." And I came in the door. I said, "She may not be your daughter by blood, but boy, is she your daughter in every way, shape, or form." She goes, "It's not cold. I don't know what y'all are talking about." I'm like, I'm bundled up in my winter jacket. And she's coming out, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, goodness."
Oh, that's funny. Hey, Chris, welcome in.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Thank you for
And
being here.
I'm going to be on Lewis Acre Karma, or not, on Living My Best Life After 60 on the 15th, talking about service dogs, because Christina did have an autism service dog. So I've gone down that path. And I also want to educate people on the ins and outs and the things to do and not to do and the things to ask and all that kind of stuff that a lot of people don't know about.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was life-changing for Christina, was that dog.
So, we know you have fibromyalgia, and obviously with the title of your channel being Blessed2Crochet, we know that you have crochet as your hobby. Do you have any other hobbies that you enjoy doing?
I love to diamond paint when I can. I need to get back to that. I also love, and we've done it on the channel too, because you don't need to know how to paint. And it is paint pour. I love doing paint pour. And when I can do it, we've actually started to try, and I've got to get back to doing it. We had these circles that we've paint poured in different fashions to be able to actually offer them to people that crochet. Because if you're like me, you may put a project away and then you go, oh, what was the hook size I was using for that project? I don't remember. And so we were trying to get them so that we could actually, put the number of the hook size on it so people could have them and hook them to their crochet projects. But we thought it'd be fun if they were like a paint pour. And I should get back to doing that. But I love paint pour. I love I love connection. I'm Greek. I've got Scottish and Greek. I probably got a little German in me, but I was very heavily influenced by the Greek culture. And that was all just about everybody kind of coming together and having food and fun and people coming together. And it was all about the connection. I did something recently where we talked about like our different kind of personalities. I was like, oh yeah, that explains me a lot because I just have this gift of gab and I need to talk.
That is so cool when you can find that connection and that explanation in what makes you who you are.
And that's why we end our lives with, be proud of being yourself because everyone else is taken. It is so true. And we're going to have merch on that very soon because I think it is so important. And another one we want to do too is under construction. And we'll have our channel on the back, but then we'll also have for other people that, we have to realize we do daily devotions on our channel, but we do them pre-recorded. And there's a reason for that. We know not everybody follows that belief. But and so when we do our lives, we try not to bring that in too much so that people can feel that they're all welcome to come in. And that if they not walking that, then maybe God hasn't drawn them there yet. And that's okay. If they want to go and watch the devotions we do, then that's wonderful. They can go watch it. But we try to make sure that everybody feels like they can come in and feel welcome. So when we do the shirt, we'll do it that way. And then we'll also have one that says, Lord, be patient. Or Lord, thank you for being patient while under construction, because we're all under construction.
Right.
We keep learning.
Welcome in, Rebecca. I am very thankful that you're here today.
Hi, Rebecca. I've done cross stitch. I just have really kind of immersed myself with crochet. I love doing blankets. That's the one thing I do. I'm not one that likes the people that can sit there and do amigurumis. Go for it. I applaud you because it's just not something I enjoy doing. It actually hurts my hands.
So fun. I enjoyed them. I made some pretty fun creatures using the amigurumi.
Yeah, it's something about being in the round. I mean, we've done this. We do these and we put these on our merch store, but those are easy. But the thing, I don't do it. I seem like when I do hats, I make them too big for some reason.
Those are hard. Unless you're really, really good at holding your tension and being very uniform in your stitch size. They're tricky. I made a hat one time. It was supposed to be for a baby, and it didn't even fit an adult. It was so huge.
I do one scarf pattern, which is a C to C. That's about the only one I really enjoy doing. And I love doing these blankets, and they're the blankets that are very personable. They're actually like, this is what I'm currently being asked to do, where there are words on them.
Oh, okay.
And I get them from Gleefully Crocheting on ST. I love all her patterns. I want to learn how to make patterns that are similar to that. But they're almost like a cross stitch pattern. So you literally have one over there. It's about 4 sheets. You have to put it together. And you're literally going back and forth like this. So it's like you're doing a cross stitch pattern, but you're making it very personalized. You're getting to put names and verses and make shapes. And I love doing those blankets. Those are my favorite to actually do. If I have to crochet, it's going to be a blanket or a poncho. I really enjoy ponchos. I just gave a lady in our church a poncho because she does so much. And I had some extra yarn and I thought, oh, I'm going to make her a poncho. So those are the things I love doing. And I have probably about 5 blankets that are ongoing right now that have to get done before I can go back to doing anything else.
Do you ever work with the crochet thread, the really fine?
Not really. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to any wool.
Well, this would be cotton.
Yeah, it is. Um, too fine, I don't like to work with it.
That was some of my favorite, and I loved working and crocheting in the filet. Are you familiar with filet?
No.
Filet is it's so simple, and it looks complicated when you first start working with it, but it's super simple. You know, like the doilies that'll spell out the Lord's Prayer, and or it'll have the Last Supper, and it's got like the little spaces, and it's all done in a line, and there'd be like little squares. That's filet. That's filet work.
Beautiful. It's
super beautiful, and it is so incredibly simple. It's unbelievably simple.
Yeah.
And once you get the pattern going, you can almost do it without looking. It is so simple. And it's super easy to read once you figure it out, once you studied it and you understand how it's written. But I loved working with that. I would make bookmarks. I would make doilies. I made some tablecloths.
I'm sure they were beautiful.
I thought so. So did the recipients.
Yeah.
I sold my work to pay for a bus trip to Missouri from Idaho. It was a 43-hour.
Wow.
Was it 43 or 48? Somewhere between there. Ride from where I live to Springfield, Missouri. And I did that in 2011 to go see Logan when he was still living there with his parents between jobs. And I went and spent a week there with him and his parents because we went to high school together. And this was back in 2011 when I went to Missouri to see him after 22 years apart.
Wow.
And we spent that week together, and it was as if we had never been apart.
It's amazing.
And a few months later, then he moved to Idaho to be with me.
That's like Josh.
But that's I sold my crochet to pay for that bus trip, and I did some tablecloths and doilies and hats and all kinds of things. I really miss being able to do that.
We do the thing that's been most popular, especially if my mom and I do a craft show, is our soap caddies. And I gave one to a lady in our church for Christmas. And she came to me, she goes, that thing, everybody should have one. And they're in our merch store. They make great gifts. And she said, everybody should have one. She said, she was recovering from surgery. And she said, I wasn't able to wash myself if it hadn't been for that soap caddy. Because she said, I could put the soap in it and one-handedly wash my body. She goes, that thing is the best thing ever. I said, I need you to do a commercial for me.
I won a couple on your giveaway. I won a couple of those.
They're great.
They're awesome.
And so, if you look at we have like a link tree too that shows things, and the Amish farm soap that we found is wonderful. We love using that. But I'm allergic to all wool and any kind of animal hair, anything. So I have to stay with acrylic or cotton kind of yards. And I just really love doing those blankets. I've just come to go, that's what I want to do. And everybody just, I did one for my nephew recently. He loves dinosaurs and he's autistic. And I did one for him. And he just loved it, to be able, and the little things are raised. I think I have one. I'm doing one for Christina's. She's working at a place that does like horses. She did equestrian horseback riding for therapy, and she is this lady has an autistic son, so she's understanding how to help Christina learn, and then she's worked there long enough that the lady actually gives the people that work there some time to work with the horses and do riding lessons and all this kind of stuff. And she's just been so amazing. I said to my daughter, she said to me, Mom, can we please make her a blanket? And I have a pattern for a blanket with horses on it. So they're like raised.
Oh, those are cool.
They're called
the
bobble stitch.
Yeah.
So this is the border. So it's going to be a horse pattern blanket, but they're raised. So the nephew has autism. I was able to actually put his name on the blanket so that he can take his finger and go over the name and be able to trace the B and then the R, and then be able to take his finger and trace the dinosaur that's on each panel. And I did it with the pastel colors for autism. But I love, those are my blankets. I've decided if I'm doing a blanket, it's going to be that. And I also like doing like C2C blankets too. It's just a corner to corner blanket as well. And that's a real easy one to do. But I love doing these blankets. They're my favorite.
That is so cool. It's neat when you, as an artist, which any craft is an art.
Absolutely.
And as an artist, when you find that one thing that's your niche and you just excel at it, it's so fun. So
that's why we say,
go ahead.
That's why we say, we're blessed to crochet, but you're blessed to do something. What are you blessed to do? You want people to look inside themselves. You will find something.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be working with your hands either.
Right. We actually have some of those therapy places around here. We have one that's called Ride for Joy, and they work with disabled children and adults. They work with the veterans coming back from combat, ones who have PTSD or who have lost a limb or have had a traumatic brain injury, any sort of disability. And they do an amazing work. And there's others in the area. And actually where Logan works, they work with disabled people. In fact, some of their employees are disabled. Oh, that is so cool.
That was my daughter on top of Fred, who was a horse. And she did riding for at least 10 years.
That's awesome.
And she winded up into two, they have in Florida, they probably have them all over. They have the Special Olympics does equestrian Special Olympics, and she got into the Tampa Special Olympics twice. So it was amazing to watch her blossom.
Yeah, there's something special about horses in particular. When
she was tiny when she was on Fred at the very beginning. I mean, she was just tiny. She's at one point her feet wouldn't even touch the stirrups at one point. But They're amazing. It was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I highly recommend it for people that are, have autistic children or any kind of special needs child that loves horses.
Mm-hmm.
There's something very calming to the movement of a horse.
There is. There is.
Yep.
But even if they're not necessarily interested in horses, there's something that just being around the horse and learning about the horse. Horses have something special about them that they connect with their human.
Yep.
And the child will learn just by being around the horse, and they will connect.
Yeah. Oh, she did. Her and Fred were just.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's beautiful. They blossom. Even if they start out without a desire to be around the horse, they will blossom.
Yep. It was amazing to watch being in that center and watching it. She only fell off once. And I have to kind of sit there and think to myself, well, I should have known. We had Jordan. Jordan was a 100-pound black lab who was her service dog. He was rescued out of a kennel within about 24 hours of being euthanized and rescued to be her service dog. He was amazing. And we hadn't had him very long, and we were actually at the center. And he was just not acting right. He was just acting off, and I couldn't figure it out. I thought maybe he just needs to walk around a little bit. And I took him off to the side, and I was watching her. My husband was there, and I'm walking him, and I'm looking, and all of a sudden I see her fall right off. And the horses are trained at the facility, along with the riders, that when you feel like you're going to fall off, you wrap your arms around the neck of the horse, as well as the horse is to stop dead in its tracks.
Mm-hmm.
It has to stop. And that's exactly what the horse did. She didn't want to get back on the horse. Hi, Pete. She didn't want to get back on the horse, but she did. By encouragement, she got back on that horse. And as soon as she got back on that horse, Jordan just sat down going, I'm fine now. He knew something was going to happen, which just amazed me that he sat there and thought, something's happening. I'm trying to cue you in, Mama. There's something going to happen. And so she's taken a while to build her confidence up. And this is what this lady at the place she works at is working with her. Understand, horse behavior and what they do and everything, get her back on to independent riding. But she's done some. But she just was a little unsteady after falling off the horse. But, they got her back on.
Welcome in, Pete, and Love the Land Homestead.
Welcome
Another
in.
new one. Welcome in. So glad that you're here. So let's go ahead and transition to your channel. What prompted your mom to want to start a channel? I know this is your mom's channel.
Yes.
So what prompted your mom to want to start a channel and yet not want to run it?
Well, it was me. I'm the one to blame. My daughter actually has a channel. If anybody would be willing to go over and subscribe, it's actually Chrissy's Cosplay Wardrobe. She does a lot of wonderful cosplay in her channel. And so if anybody wants to head over there and subscribe, I know she'll appreciate it. She does a lot of cosplay stuff. But it was last year, and I am also on a channel called, and I moderate for it. And it's the Lifeboat. And we had a situation. My aunt has been diagnosed with terminal cancer. She's currently under hospice, and she is, by the grace of God, still here. But I don't know how long He's going to keep her here. But God has a purpose and a plan, and we're just going to stick with it, right?
Right.
And I was really struggling. We got the diagnosis in December. I had found the lifeboat through another channel. I have always been an Elvis fan from the time I was about 12 years old. My dad and I had a very neat connection and love of Elvis. And when he got dementia, it was something that I could turn on, and him and I would connect and everything. And so I went ahead and I found the lifeboat through another channel. And I thought, I don't need this channel. It's a sobriety channel. I don't need, that. And what happened was I was starting to connect with people in the chat. And I was starting to make friends, and I was starting to make this connection happening and everything. And I just sat there thinking to myself, I had these tapes in my head that sat there and goes, I can be having a very intense personality, part of the Greek in me. And nobody wants to be my friend. I might as well just be silent and everything. And then there was a girl that I met through that's actually over in Australia, and she's become like a sister to me. And she just said, when I found out my aunt had cancer, she said, I'm here if you need to talk. And there were times when, after the diagnosis of my aunt, I literally would wake up with absolute panic attacks. When you have fibromyalgia, you have anxiety and panic attacks. I can handle those panic attacks in the middle of the night or in the day when you're awake. But when you're in the middle of the night and you're waking up with them and you're thinking, I'm never going to sleep again. And so she was there, and connection came to life for me. And I thought, if I'm here struggling with not having the connection, who else is? And we had already kind of had the channel up, just doing crochet, just showing it off. It was just another way to do it. And I said to Mom, you know what? I know this is your channel, but can I just take it and be the face of it? You can have, if ever thought, I thought, we'll never get monetized. If it ever gets monetized, you can get the monetization. I just need the connection. About that time, we also had a family member that decided that they no longer wanted to speak to us. I won. No one, they just, goodbye, after 50 years of a relationship. That was really hard, on top of the news about my aunt. The 31st and the 1st is also a very difficult time because I lost my grandfather in 97 on New Year's Eve at 10 minutes before midnight, and my dad New Year's Day at 12:30 a.m. in the morning on 2021. So I don't handle those well. So you put all those together and you've got a firestorm worth of stuff to deal with.
Absolutely.
And I thought, well, I had the gentleman who runs the lifeboat, Tommy Scoville, and his son, Captain, we call him Captain Calhoun, and Admiral Tommy. And he said, if you've got something to say, hit that big red button. And I thought, well, I'll go ahead and hit it, see what happens, right? And that's how it started, January 13th. I just turned it on live. I had a little thing that I had tried to make from Dollar Tree that looked absolutely ridiculous. If you go back to the first live, it was horrible. I'll try to make this foam thing come to life, and it didn't. And the only thing I invested in was a camera and this mic, and we had a computer that worked and is still working, but it finally stopped being enough for us to handle with all that we were doing. So we recently just got something, and I said, all I want, my son-in-law is very tech savvy. And I said, all I want is, you think if we just got a computer that just went on the internet, did nothing else, didn't store anything, I'd stop being on live saying hi. And then 5 minutes later, I'm gone for 5 minutes while I'm trying to get this old computer to work. And he said, I think that'll work until I can give them the money to say, build us a computer that's down the road. And then I'll figure I'll always have Geek Squad available because he'll built it. He'll know exactly what's all in it, right? And I can say I'm so glad I didn't stay in that corner anymore. I don't sit here thinking in my head, nobody wants to be my friend. I don't think it anymore. I know that, dang on it, I'm proud of being who I am. because everybody else is taken. I say that on every end. We're going to have merch that says that because it's so important. This has been a tough year for our family going through the loss. But I'll tell you something, and hopefully I'm not going to cry when I say this. When my aunt in August of last year said, I have this wish to be with your, come up and see your family before I leave this world. It was, hi, Kevin, how are you?
Hi, Kevin. Welcome in, Juan Perez.
I sat there and I thought, how are we going to do this? It was a 400 and some odd ticket that was going to take her up here. And I went to my YouTube community and said, if anybody feels led to help, my mom said, why don't we reach out to them? They came together, got the woman that ticket to come up here and give us one last hug for a week.
That's beautiful.
Not only that, we had $15 more for Christina and her aunt to go take a ride, horseback riding.
Wow.
She's going to leave this world, and I think sooner than later, because she's even having trouble eating at this point. I don't have to worry. I know where she's going. But I also know I got that last hug. I got to say whatever I needed to say. I got to say my goodbyes. I got to do that hug. And that was because of the YouTube community that came together to help us make that happen. And if people don't believe that you can make a community out of this thing, you can.
Oh, I know you can. I recently experienced it. Yeah. So
it was me that said, Mom, why don't we do this? Now, because of my fibromyalgia, I really cannot work. And I know that to people it says, well, YouTube is work, and it is. She does a lot of the stuff in the back. She helps with the shorts. She does comments and all that kind of stuff. I get what is kind of like, and I was finally given the answer to it by somebody. They said, your body is dealing with pain. So when it's in enough pain, it's burning energy to deal with the pain. Mm-hmm. And so I get these like really cold chills where I'm literally like just shaking. And it says, okay, whatever I'm going to do, I got to stop. I got to go take my medicine that I have, or go get layers on and 5 blankets and whatever I need to, and stop moving. If I fall asleep for an hour, I fall asleep. Mm-hmm. Or I tend to get migraines. I never know when they're going to pop in. Or I can have an anxiety issue or a panic attack come out of nowhere. So that makes it really hard for me to work. Or if I need to be in a day where I have to have really loose clothing, because even the clothing on your skin can hurt.
Oh, I know that.
How do you work outside of the home with that? You can't. There's been days I've scheduled lives and said, guess it's not happening today.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I said, Mom, I can't take any of the monetization. I don't want it. When my dad left this world, he left this world not having an insurance policy. I will be more than glad to do this to help you. So any of that goes right to her. You do whatever you want with it. I have to have the connection. I have to have a place for my gift of gab to go. And if I'm helping people along the way, if there's a mother that has an autistic individual that feels like they're not alone, that has somebody to be in their back corner lifting them up, hallelujah.
Oh, if I'd have had that when I was raising my son.
Absolutely. We've all, I remember sitting with a friend of mine on a couch. Christina was probably about 12 or 13 years old. And we were laughing over a selfie stick and trying to figure out how it worked. And I got in my car and I was crying because I said, I can't remember the last time I sat on a couch laughing with somebody and a friend, because all my friends did this. Bye. We don't understand this autistic world. When we invite you places, you don't go anyplace. So we're just going to not understand it. We're going to just separate.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of friends that understood when Christina would act the way she did. We're not taking her to Chuck E. Cheese unless somebody wants to come to my house to deal with a 3-hour meltdown because I can't touch my child. And when we got Jordan, that was a huge help. But there were people that didn't understand why we were getting Jordan. Because my daughter needs it. Or we had a huge problem. One of the first questions I'll ask a mother with autism is, how is the sleep pattern? 9 out of 10 times they'll say, it's terrible. I
Oh, yeah.
know. Because I looked at somebody and I said, Christina was in our bed last night. How old is she? 12? You got to be kidding me. Well, it's the only way I can sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Jordan was the hugest help, because what they have found is autistic children actually need a warm body to sleep with. They sleep better with that. We tried the weighted blankets. We tried the TV. We tried everything. We tried putting a bed in the room and having me late. We did everything under the sun. And about a year after we had Jordan, he came in. He was in the bed, and Christina was here, and I was here. And there was enough room, and he slid in between us. And then I left, not on purpose, a little bit of room on the back of between the bed frame or the back of the wall and myself. And he just got up after a few minutes and crawled up and plopped himself behind my back. Like, Mama, I got you. And I would come in, Christina's arm would be on his, his back, his butt would be on her head. I mean, all different kind of positions. But the girl slept. And it was like, she'd go, good night, Mom. And I'd be like, am I dreaming? So.
And then there's the separation between you and your child when they finally learn to sleep on their own.
Yeah. It was like, and I don't want someone that has an autistic individual to ever feel like they're sitting on that couch by themselves. The girl that I made the blanket for, I said, I don't care. She's like a sister to me. She's another one. And I'm an only child, so I'll never have that. But I have brothers and sisters now, I can tell you that, and they're chosen. If you need to call me on the phone and cry for 15 minutes because of what you're going through, she knows she can do that day or night. If you need to call me and just sit me down and have me be there, you can do that. Because I know I would have loved to have been able to have that. I had my mom, wonderful. I had my dad. I had my husband. I didn't have friends. They all just did this number. They all just kind of, we're going to just separate.
What I ran into is when you reach out for help and you say, hey, look, I need help. I was a single mom. I raised my son completely alone, except for my parents. And they were beautiful, wonderful supports. But what I ran into is I would reach out to people, even within my church, and I got, oh, you're fine. You're doing fine. Your son's fine. You're doing good. You're a good mom.
That was Jordan.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That smile didn't happen. That was him. He was an amazing dog.
Yeah. But, even when you do reach out for help, but they all just say, oh, you're doing fine. You don't need help. You're doing good. You don't need, No, I'm reaching out because I do need help.
Absolutely.
And I think my son's a little older than your daughter, but so there was a little bit of a difference at that time, even just a few short years later. But being able to make those connections is just amazing.
One of my favorite pictures.
That's great.
He had diabetes the last year of his life. I said one of the hardest times for me was getting him there. One of the hardest times was when we were in the car going home with her after having to put him down because his body was done. And I remember getting in the car, and I purposely got in the back seat of the car. And I said to her, okay, Christina, if you need Mama, here I am. She goes, Mama, don't touch me. She just lost her best friend, and I can't even touch her to comfort her. And to people, that doesn't make sense. To me, as an autistic mother, it makes perfect sense. If there had been a dog there, she'd have loved on that dog like crazy. She literally took his collar and his leash and just went like this. And then she said to me after about a week, she goes, Mom, you have to get me a dog. I don't care how we do. You've got to get me a dog. Well, we were trying to raise, and that's a whole separate story I'm not going to get into here, but we were trying to raise money for her next diabetic and autistic service dog. And we ended up knowing that that was going to be about, and if anybody's standing or driving, they may want to just pull over when I say this number. Jordan was $15,000. I'm not misspeaking that. The next dog several years later, hi Alfonso, was $25,000.
That is just ridiculous.
My husband needs a diabetic service dog. We have Mocha, but it's not service dog material. If we want to get him a service dog so that we do not have to rehome Mocha, it is a $25,000 expense.
They absolutely make it impossible for people who need the service to get what they need, and that needs to stop.
25. I'm not speaking. I mean, we've tried to rehome Mocha. Mocha was my daughter's fourth foster who failed. She has also been held by the collar and choked by neighborhood kids that thought it was funny. She was then taken to her next home and beaten. And I think this would be a dog that we've spent 2.5 years up here with getting the vet to understand her and love her and for her to trust the vet. Because when she gets nail trims or anything, she has to be sedated for any procedure at the vet. So this is a dog that if you do not understand her and you have not taken the time to build the trust, this would be a dog I really feel wouldn't be here. And I have this feeling she is going to be this in and out shelter dog all the time because she is just, nobody's going to understand her. They're going to think she's being vicious, and she's not. She just wants to build the trust. And that's what Christina does really good with these dogs, especially the bully breeds. That's Mocha. I mean, she just, the two of them are just like, but unfortunately, the housing situation she is in right now, she can't have the dog. So I just remember being in that car, and she just said to me, she goes, Mama, you got to get me a dog. So the first dog we had was Buddy. We had him for 9 months as a foster. He actually passed away on my husband's and mine anniversary. We had found out that he actually had somebody shoot a pew-pew in his shoulder, and the bullet fragment was still in there. So when it dislodged finally, it made him paralyzed very quickly. And we had found out that we tried to find him a home several times, and it was not the right fit. So they actually allowed us to bring him home. You know, as a trigger warning, his ashes and everything. And I said, can we come down and just adopt him? She said, the lady said, you're his forever family. And he was such a help to my daughter. And then we had Nyla. Nyla was another bully breed that was actually under hospice care with us. And you could see every rib because she was so malnourished. And we loved on her and fed her, and she got rehomed for 2.5 years of the most wonderful home she could have ever had. She was Nyla Doodles. She actually has her own Instagram page. She has since passed away. And then my daughter got Hunter, and he was a Staffy, and I said, I will never own another Staffy again. They're the most amazing dogs. They really are. But they can be very headstrong dogs. And we got Hunter, and Hunter was there through so much. She was there when Christina we had a place where she had like a bottom stair like apartment downstairs, walk out so she could learn kind of how to live by herself, live on her own and everything. And that was, in our house where we had in Cincinnati, we had the upstairs and she had the bottom. And Hunter was there when she had the C. And then she was also there when my dad passed away. And then he was rehomed to a wonderful place too as well. So she has had these dogs where she has just fostered and loved them, and she is excellent with it. She does so well with it. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we had Mocha, and she just couldn't let Mocha go. So if we try to get another dog for my husband, and there's a place in Cincinnati that will do it, but it means we have to rehome Mocha. And we've tried it, and it's failed. And my fear is if we rehome this dog, she's going to be in and out. And eventually people are just going to say, just, put her down. And I just can't do that. I can't take a risk with that dog.
Yeah.
So if we go privately for my husband, who's a severe diabetic, he can be sitting at 150 and shoot to 400, or he can be sitting at 200 and drop to 80 in minutes. We have to spend $25,000 for a private service animal. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
I think it's criminal.
Oh, yeah. And we tried. We went through it again as soon as Jordan passed away, or before he did. We tried to start raising money. And we raised about $2,000, which is a drop in the bucket. Mm-hmm. And then gentlemen that I had followed for a long time and heard good reviews, and they brought the dog to you and everything. Well, he was stealing money. So our $2,000 went in the garbage. Oh. And we never recovered it, along with other families that lost they had raised the $25,000. And he took them, and he was filtering the money. And for the first time he did it. He has since been shut down, but all those families lost dogs. And we called one place, and they said, well, we'll be willing to and they're really nice, and I follow them. And I mean, if I had the money, I'd probably go through them. But they said, well, we're trying to help out. We'll knock $3,000 off the cost for the dog since you had been, hit by the person that did that. And he is restricted from ever having any kind of, this is not the first time he's tried to put up service dogs and failed. Mm-hmm. And gotten caught, so he's not going to be able to do it again.
Well,
I hope he's criminally charged.
Yeah,
because he deserves it.
He needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we got it. If the insurance companies would realize how much of a preventive this is for a diabetic, if you have. My husband has an Omnipod. He has a Dexcom, but a dog can detect about 20 to 30 minutes prior than any best technology that is worn. And so if he's by himself and he's never done it, thank goodness, praise God, keep praying that. If he actually, all right, thank you. I will take a screenshot of that. If he actually gets knocked, if he goes unconscious, there's a special device that dog can dial that could get 911 here to help him if he's by himself. And everybody else sit there and say, well, why don't you just have Mocha as a service dog? She's not service dog material. I wouldn't put that dog on a service vest if you paid me $1 million, because she's just not it. She doesn't have the temperament for it. And you run into it all the time. You go into stores and you say, oh, yeah, it's a service dog. No, it's not. Tell by the temperament of the dog.
Yeah.
She's an emotional support animal. She knows when my husband needs that comfort. She's a great cuddler. If I'm in pain, she's all over me to be wanting to be in my bed. But I just have this, we'd have to find the right person. And my daughter is so attached to her. I mean, she is just so attached. I just can't do it.
I don't know your daughter's living situation, but
they will not allow her to have any dog at this time. So It can't.
Emotional support animals cannot be turned away.
They can't. And I'm just because I want to keep her privacy when it comes to that. And, she just can't. And she gets to come here, cuddle on Mocha, or, if she calls me and says, Mom, can you bring Mocha? Like when we go to the dentist, we'll be bringing Mocha with us. Mm-hmm. And Mocha will be able to cuddle, with her while we're waiting for her in the dentist. So we try to bring her around as much as they can. And they're also they're two young people and they're working a lot. And mm-hmm. Mocha loves being with people. I think she'd be miserable to be in a crate too for 8 hours a day. Mm-hmm. She wants to be in your lap. She tries to be a lap dog. She wants to be in your lap. She wants to be cuddling under blankets. She wants to be near you. She's just and most staffies are like that. They're amazing dogs, hard-headed as could be.
Yeah,
they're wonderful dogs. I have a unexpected sweet spot in my heart for staffies now in a way that I didn't have it. The only thing I just say to people is, it's not the breed. When people look at her, when people look at Mocha, they get this instant thing. It's a pit bull. It's not. It's part of the bully breed, and they get, or she has a lot of stranger danger, and I would be too if I had gone through all the trauma she went through.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we have to be careful how we're raising. I think it's a lot to do with how they're raising the dog, and there are some dogs that doesn't matter what breed they are, they're going to be, they're just their temperament and their personality. But,
right.
We just ask everybody to kind of be patient with Mocha. Sometimes we'll put a vest on her to go out that says, please don't touch. She's an emotional support dog. Only because we know where Mocha is. We know what her threshold is. Right. She's not growling at you and stepping back because of you. She's doing it because she wants to say, I've been hurt. And we all do that if we think about it to some degree. Mm-hmm. I've been hurt this much. So I'm going to make sure I'm tough. She's far from tough at all. Because I'm so scared I'm going to get hurt again. Right. If you wear a hoodie, she doesn't like it. Probably because she probably was abused with somebody wearing a hoodie.
Right, exactly.
She was probably taken from her mama, and she was malnutritioned. So you got a dog that's got all of the things, and then you've just you've hurt her, and she needed a lot of love. She still does, and she has a dog that definitely needs boundaries and definitely needs people that are willing to be patient with her. And she's got that with us. Yeah. We do love her. It's like I can't rehome her just because
right.
I just can't. I got to find a person that will work with training a dog for my husband eventually, that will also work with Mocha to find one that they can live together. And
Logan is my husband, and he was just letting you know that this kitty's name is Molly. She's my constant companion when I'm doing my lives anymore, now that the weather has gotten cold. She lives in the
animals
house
are awesome.
So, anyway, yes, I'm Karma. This is Molly, and I've got a whole bunch of bed full of other kitties right now. So,
yes, I like that.
But
I remember when Christina when we first got Jordan. Prior to that, she had been doing something that she would sit there going. She'd hold her breath, and she'd make that sound, which annoyed everybody in her class. But she did it out of not even realize she was doing it. And we would sit there saying, Christina, breathe. Would you just please?
Yeah.
And she would just kind of, laugh, she wouldn't laugh at it, but it was kind of like when we got Jordan actually home with us, my husband and I looked and said, We didn't even realize it. We said, do you remember the last time Christina held her breath? It literally stopped. Because she was doing it out of anxiousness.
Yeah.
She stopped doing it altogether. And he wasn't trained as a diabetic service dog, but she would.
Hey, Ronson, welcome.
Hi,
I'm glad you got
Ronson.
through your appointment today.
He would detect. There was one time she was actually going down before she got her Dexcom. I think she was like in the 80s or in the 70s. And he actually woke her up for her to test. And he did it to my husband at times. It was like, he just sit there. I ain't going anywhere. And he'd bark. And we'd look at him and said, does she need to test or does he need to test? And the minute we pulled out the tester, he just laid back down going, okay, I got my message through. You need to test. It was amazing to watch it. Or if he would have, if Christina was starting to have a moment and get overwhelmed and she wanted to go take him for a walk, she'd pull on his leash and she said, Mama, why isn't he going anyplace? Because you're overwhelmed. He would clue me in to an autistic meltdown that was going to happen, or she was getting overwhelmed. And you'd put this 100-pound black lab on her lap and she'd go, that deep pressure made such a difference.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted that. She was like, have him on me, have him on my lap. She would not be where she was if it hadn't been for Jordan.
Yeah.
It's like the Patrick Swayze, the before Dirty Dancing and after. He said it was such a drastic difference in his life. And it was like before Jordan and after Jordan. It was just like God was amazing. And we got her on the news, and somebody, and I remember the first time they scheduled the news article to come out, and I was upset because they had to move it. And that morning, they got her on the news, and somebody called the news station and says, I'm going to donate the full amount. I said, God knew what he was doing. He was going to put that in front of the person that needed to watch that. And the lady from the news station called me and said, you got it. So we raised $15,000 for her dog and $2,000 for somebody else to have their dog.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So you mentioned that, if I understood correctly, your mom already had a channel and then you kind of took it over. What was your mom's channel to begin with?
Well, when my daughter got married in 2022, I kind of went through this empty nest syndrome because she was my only one, and how do I do this and so forth. And we were so tired. I don't know how I did it. My daughter is not a crafty person. She does cosplay very well, but she's not a crafty individual. I'm the crafty person. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, okay, how am I going to, what am I going to do with myself? And I was in like, what was it? In like, Mothers of the Bride kind of group. And that's when I was like, okay. So I started reaching out to people to see if they wanted blankets done. And that's when we were trying to come up with a name. And I was like, well, how do I come up with a name? And we came up with Blessed2Crochet. And I was like, okay, we'll just do that. And my husband came up with the number 2. And I was like, okay, well, we'll just use YouTube to just show off our stuff. And if you go in the very beginning, that's all we were doing. When we did something, we just showed it off. And it was, the lifeboat was the one where I just said to myself, where can I show off my stuff or have a place to go to? And it was that Christmas that I needed people. And I thought, who else doesn't need somebody to talk to? I'm thinking, I've got the autism. I've done that. I've had a dad with dementia. I've had a grandfather with multiple sclerosis. I've been through an abusive marriage. I've been a single mother. I've been through a second marriage now. I've had to walk away from the abusive marriage. I've had all these things happen. I've got a life story to tell. And I can maybe help people through that part in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it started. I needed the connection desperately. And it's
So,
just changed my life in so
so
many ways.
your mom originally started the channel to show off the crochet work.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at some point in time, you
Yeah.
connected with the lifeboat,
Yeah.
and then you hijacked your mom's channel
Yep.
to create a place of connection.
Yep. Because
Okay.
I
All
needed
right.
it. So sometimes when people email me and they see Kathy, it's like, wait a minute, is it Kathy or Mary? And it's both of us. And again, because of my circumstances, I can't take any of the monetization. I don't want it. You take it. I have to have the connection. And my husband has said, there has been such a difference in you over this past year, having a place to talk, having a place to having those connections. I don't sit here thinking nobody wants to be my friend anymore. Those are tapes that don't need to exist. Those are not coming from God.
Right.
But again, I have one of those where I'm, thanks to my dad, one of those people that never met a stranger. And I have never met a stranger. And it shows in how, I mean, I can go up to somebody in the supermarket and start a conversation. My mother is not like that. We'll be going down to go see Christina. And she'll go, Mary, I have no idea how you got on there and talked for an hour. She's just not that kind of person. But I am. And I thought, I've got to have a place to do this. And YouTube has not only provided that, but they've provided me that family, which I'm just so, so grateful for.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very awesome. So, what if a person was brand new to your channel, what would they expect to see on your channel?
They're going to see connection. I'm exactly who I am here as I am behind the thing. You're not going to get anybody different. I don't want to be somebody I'm not. I want to show people to be proud of being themselves because everybody else is taken. I want community. I want connection to be built. I don't want people feeling as if they're by themselves. I want them to know when you go into our channel a lot, you'll hear, especially now, you'll hear a song, at least, and both those songs are on our videos. The gentleman by the name of Scott Thompson. He's like an uncle to me. And he does 2 songs. I Got You Covered, which is a portion of that is in our intro. And the outro is So Proud of Being Me. And I create and relate. And So Proud of Being Me. And so those 2 songs are on there. And I don't even know where I was going with that for a minute. I'll get it back in a second. And I want everybody to get to that point where they're thinking, I'm so proud of being who I am. And Scott is totally blind. He doesn't play anymore, but he did years ago. And he has a wonderful voice, but he's totally blind. But he had an amazing, amazing knack for music. I want everybody to know. Oh, I know where I was going now. I've always said to him, I'm your number one fan. He says, you always are. You always have me covered. And I want people to know that. If you need a cheerleader, I'll be glad to do it. I'll be that number one fan saying, you can do this. Don't believe those tapes going in your head. And I also want to talk about subjects like, autism, or like we have a live tomorrow talking about, what is the impact of just showing up for somebody? I want to talk about things that are positive. I want to talk about things that are difficult. Things that maybe it would, if a mother and a teenage daughter were sitting and they could hear my story about the fact that I had to walk away from an abusive relationship, maybe it'll keep a young girl from getting in the same situation. or a mother sitting there going, I have an autistic son or daughter or several, and I'm drowning. I feel so alone because I never thought that this day was going to happen with my daughter. That's my precious Christina. And I did put her, Chrissy's cosplay wardrobe. That's her channel. That's my precious daughter. I never thought it was going to happen, that she was going to wind up to get married. And not everybody does get married, and that's okay.
Right.
But when you're in the mix of it, you're thinking, you know, you feel it. You just feel so alone, and I got tired of being alone.
Yeah.
So if you come on our channel, it is going to be a lot of connection. We do not allow people to come in. If you want to come in and stir up trouble, you're gone. I have great moderators over there. I want everybody to feel safe. We're not going to come in and bash anybody or sit there and bash other content creators. It's not happening. We're coming in there to be pure support. We're coming in there for connection. Sometimes we do paint pour. Sometimes I'll bring crochet projects over and we'll just crochet and talk. It's all about just showing up and being there. Sometimes we have topics. Sometimes we're on a way to go see Christina, and my mom and I will be talking. We do daily devotions on our channel, but we do them pre-recorded for the reason I want people to feel they can go over and watch that if they feel that they want to watch that. But it's not, I'm a firm believer in the fact that we as Christians, if we're following the Lord, we've got to show people in love. Hitting people over with the Bible is not going to do a dang on bit of good. If they're not walking that path, if they are triggered by the fact that God is mentioned, doing anything like that is not going to do anything. And I think some of that way of thinking has happened since I've kind of, because Elvis was never into Scientology, but Priscilla and Lisa got involved with it, which was a huge mistake. He just thought it's a big money grab, and that's all it is anyway. But I've learned a lot about it because I was interested in understanding why they would even go down that path, with the fact that Elvis was a Christian. I know he dabbled in a lot of stuff, but at the heart of it, he was a Christian. Is that people coming from those kind of cults, no wonder why they don't want to hear the word God. Why they're like, I've just been through this. I've been controlled by this for how many years? They don't want to walk that path. So just alone with that, along with depending on how they were raised, sometimes having that can be triggering for them. And being on the lifeboat, we don't, as moderators, if that's discussed, it's not deleting it because we don't believe it. If we do believe it, it's because there are people that literally say, that's triggering to me. And I feel so bad because I'm thinking, God is far from triggering for me. But to some people, it can be. And we have to be understanding and respectful of that. So my mom and I, when we make decisions about the channel, it's done together. And we said, we do the daily devotions, we do them pre-recorded. When we do our lives, if people bring up anything that has to do with God that I agree with, I may say I agree with that, but because I want to be respectful of other people in this chat that may not, I'm not putting it on the screen, not to be disrespectful, but I just want everybody to come and feel welcome, which is part of my personality. I found that recently. I want everybody just come in, join the party. You know, life is too short for us to be in disagreement with each other and not get along and find common ground with each other and have a conversation and get to know each other. It takes 200 hours to get to know somebody. I've done a lot sillier things with 200 hours. That's for sure.
Yeah. So do you have any future plans for the channel that you're looking forward to?
Well, we're going to keep doing the devotion. So they'll all will be on video. We will always do a devotion. We are doing let's see, the devotion one we're doing right now is the Billy Graham piece for each day. So that'll take us all year to get through.
Oh, okay.
And then at Christmas last year, we did an Advent journal. And that's how we kind of decided, we felt very led, that very led to start doing the devotions every year. So there next year, which I'm in the process of recording these, is Advent alphabet.
Oh,
and
okay.
there's no questions in here, but we're making up questions to go along with them. And so we're doing that. We do recipes. I'm going to be uploading one soon, which is supposed to be for Christmas, but it just never happened, is noodle pudding. So I figured that'd be a good Valentine's Day recipe to put up. We put Valentine's Day up. My daughter has a beautiful singing voice. So she sings at church, and when she does, I record it, and she allows me to put it on the channel. So we put it under videos. We've got a live stream coming up tomorrow talking about, showing up for people. We do daily quotes on the channel every Monday. We just did one from Princess Diana today. And then what we do is we take those quotes on Saturday, and it's called Quote Reflection Saturday, Reflection Quote Saturday, whatever. I always get it mixed up sometimes. And we take that and we take the quote and we look at it from a biblical standpoint, so that we can say, okay, this is a Bible verse that we think would go well with this quote. And it's a good way to look at the quote in a worldly sense, but also look at it from a biblical sense. So we take our quotes, we review the quotes, we look at them from kind of both sides of it. And I really, really enjoy doing that. We take a couple Bible verses and put them with them. On the way to church on Sunday, we go live. And that's about the only time I'll kind of bring God a little bit more in the forefront of a live. People know that. I'll be willing to go on anybody's channel and tell my story or talk about anything. They can come on our channel, tell their story, as long as they're respectful and we don't allow cuss words. On our channel, we want it to be clean and respectful. And I also, because of the first marriage I was in, sometimes cuss words can be triggering for me, because when the cuss words would start flying, that meant I was going to get either yelled at or hit or something. And so I can't handle them very well at times. So we don't do them. We want it to be clean and nice and respectful. So,
very understandable.
Yep. And so we're just going to keep plugging along. I know, and we try when people come in the chat to put in their channel. I know every channel that we put in, it may not be the channel for somebody, but it doesn't mean that they shouldn't go check it out. And if it's not, it's not. But we want to support other content creators, especially that are coming in to support us. And I'm really trying to get people to get out of looking at the last part of this name.
Right.
I said to my mom, I wonder if we should change the name. And she said, no. And I said, you're right. I think we look at crochet, look at that name, think, oh, all they do is crochet. I don't want to go look. If you go look at our channel, there is about 5% of it, and we will do yarn reviews, and we'll do more of those down the road. And we do giveaways from time to time. About 5% of our channel may have something to do with yarn. I like doing yarn reviews. That's about it. I don't feel like I have the knack to teach anybody how to crochet, because I probably have learned some bad habits because I taught myself how to do it. But I want people to get past looking at the name and go and investigate what their channel is. Now, if you come to our channel and go investigate and go look at the fact that, guess what? If I go look at their videos first, well, they're just a faith-based channel, so I'm out of here. Go look at their community tab first. Skip the live, skip the short. Go look at that first. You will see that we're doing a take a break every day. We've got to schedule some more of them. Every day, we do a picture, and we take their avatar and we put that in the thumbnail or in the picture, and we do take a break. I've done one, I think, for you as well. And I do a take a break every day. We do that. We schedule it for you guys to go check out a new channel. Go see what they're doing on their community tab. Are they supporting other channels? Are they showing other channels? Then maybe go to their live feeds. What are the live feeds about? Are they focused on community and connection? Then go take a look at what their videos are. Then go take a look at their shorts. And then look at their name at the very last thing. Because if you did that with our channel, you're going to find out we're all about connection. We're all about community. We're not about crochet. We're not all about doing devotions, but that's an important part of who we are. And we've gotten a lot of really good feedback about that. And there's about 40 or 50 people watching that every day. I don't care how many views it gets. If it helps one person with their walk with Christ, wonderful. We feel led to do that. Hi, Crafty. How are you? We feel led to do that. So get past the name and go check them out.
Right. Well, what's interesting too is that your name actually screams connection.
Yeah.
Because crochet is connection. It's connecting yarn or thread.
Yep.
Molly's playing disappearing act here. She's goes headless every now and then. You're connecting threads and yarns to create something absolutely beautiful. And crochet is just a series of knots.
Yeah.
And when you're forming a connection in a social world, you're knotting together people's lives to form a connection. And if those knots are strong enough, they'll hold.
Yep, they will.
And the only way to break those is to cut them. Welcome in, Troy. And who did I miss? Crafty Witch. Welcome in. And I think I missed Create and Relate. I'm so sorry. I'm really thankful that you're here today.
And you were right. We're about one away from 1,400 views.
You're going to get it today.
I'm going to get it. I'm sitting there going, okay. And God gets the glory for it.
Mary and her mother are one away from reaching 1,400 subscribers. And I told her that before we went live, I told her that she would hit her 1,400 today. So she was 3 away.
Yep.
And now she's 1 away. So thank you guys for connecting with Mary.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And if you have been connected with her, but you haven't checked out your connections lately, go in and check. Because quite often you end up with your connections being taken away. Sometimes YouTube cleans up connections and you have to go back in and resubscribe. So be sure you're checking your connections.
That was my mom and my daughter at her wedding. So that's Mama.
Oh.
And that's the picture I used for us a lot of times is that one. It's one of my favorite. But my daughters come on my channel too. So, and I'm trying to help her because I'm, not working so I can help her a little bit because she's like, she wants to grow her channel. So I'm trying to help her in the background. So, and, tuber chat and stuff like that too as well to, help her, grow her stuff as well. So,
right.
And one thing we've even offered to do with people is we have our link tree, and I did it with one of my friends too as well, that if anybody wants to send us, it's Blessed2Crochet at yahoo.com as a channel. They may have affiliate, Amazon links. They may not want to do that, but if they do, they can, they can send it to us. We'll be glad under our link tree to make your channel like a favorite collection place. If you send us 2 or 3 things that you really like from Amazon, we just ask, can we take one of them and make our own affiliate link, and we'll put the other 2 of your affiliate link. Or if you don't want to be bothered with that, we'll go ahead and make them affiliate links give you your own little section under our Linktree shop, and then also put your channel on our actual Linktree. And that's another way for people to find your channel. We're all about helping people, no matter how big or small you are, to get connected with other channels.
That's
Because
beautiful.
I remember when I was sitting there going, okay, we're climbing this and this and this and this. And I want to be the person that no matter how big we get, we're in there supporting somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, because the thing is that you wouldn't be where you are without those people who are there watching and listening and supporting. And that's how I feel too. I've had my channel now for coming up on 13 months. I mean, I've been on YouTube for years, but I started creating content on January 12th, my birthday, a year ago. And it seemed like it was taking forever to even hit 50.
Yeah.
And then once I did, then it took forever to hit 100. And now I'm getting really close to, I think this morning I was at 434. So I'm getting close to my 500, but then it's the watch hours.
Yeah.
And it's like, am I ever going to get to the 1,000 mark?
Exactly.
Well, I finally broke the 1,000 mark, but now I've got to get to that 3,000 mark. And it seems like it takes forever. It's one thing to subscribe to a channel, but you also got to be interacting with those channels. And so if you find people that are willing to go and be a part of those channels and be active on them, then, you want to give back to them. You want to be supportive of them also. And
so I know your birthday was in January, but happy birthday.
Oh.
When you mentioned your birthday. One thing we did, and we still have them on our channel. I just haven't done one for a while because we got our watch hours in, but I need to do a fireplace one before the end of the winter. But we did where we would take I think Pixel Bay has them. I've just had to be careful because I got hit with one that said it was free when it wasn't. And I would make a loop where it was looping that video with some kind of music that was looping for about 10 hours and have those nature streams running for people. And that was a huge help. Getting involved with Tuber Chat was a huge help. Having people run through playlist. I'm in a group that helps people even when they're monetized to help run playlist. I was on a live last night and someone said, oh, well, you can just run it in the background, just turn the sound down. Don't do that. YouTube notices when you have no sound. So if it means you have to put your, if you're trying to go to sleep and you want to try to help a content creator run a playlist, which is very helpful, just make sure you got earbuds in the laptop or you've got headphones on or something that is doing the sound, because they'll be able to determine if there's no sound. They're not going to give them credit for it. Run a playlist while you're cleaning the house with somebody. It helps just running them playlist. Interacting with the shorts. That's a great way too of just going through some of these shorts that a channel that you like and just hitting that like button, hitting that thumbs up, and maybe making a comment or two. That all helps getting them where they are. And, I had a really amazing experience on Saturday. I go on Alfonso's channel. I help him because when the two of us met through Gail's Southern Living. No, it was Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. And he said, I'm too afraid to come on because of trolls. And I said, don't worry, I got your back. And so we'll go on, and I'll go on his just to be there to help read the comments and be there. But I'm being there for him. If I don't get any subscribers, it's fine. I'm there for my friend. Now, Alfonso has become a friend. Awesome, genius guy, music-wise. And he's helped us. I go on. He does some stuff for us when it comes to some logos and stuff. So we help each other. It's all what it's about helping each
Right.
other. And so I was doing a live because I thought I'll come on real quick on Saturday and then I'll redirect over to his channel. And I was just kind of, I wasn't really too much into it. I was kind of there. And there's a gentleman that I enjoy watching at time, and I like his story and his testimony. And he has a channel of about 60,000 people. It's Cash Kelly. Now, not everybody's going to like him. I don't agree with everything he says, but I just like him. I like his testimony and how far he's come and where he's come and all of the story and everything. He came in my live. We're friends on Facebook. And I thought, oh my goodness, I must be doing something right. But it said something to me to say, Mary, you got to show up for the one.
Right.
And he kind of put that fire that I needed back under my tail end. I really realized last week that what is happening with my aunt really affected me a lot more than I ever imagined it would. My therapist said to me on Wednesday, "Are you depressed?" No. Mary, are you depressed? No. Mary, again, are you depressed? And I finally said yes. The fact that she's not eating, feels like wanting to eat, able to eat, brings back memories of what my dad or my grandfather did before he passed. And I've had a really, really rough week. It's just been like, I think the liver and lung cancer, stage 4, are going to not get her before the fact that she's not eating is. And that there's a divide happening between this family that shouldn't have happened over something silly.
Right.
Sits there and says, this woman's going to leave this world with her family divided. How can you do this? I just don't, I can't, I've done all I can, and it has to go to God, and that's all I can do. But it's really affected me, and I noticed it. And I thought, this is, I was just kind of in my own little world, and I was doing the thing because I needed to go live, but I wasn't there until he popped in and was like, Mary, wake up. And sometimes we need that. We got to show up for the one person. And I thought, why are you here? You're here because you got to show up for people, and they need to show up for you. And I've cried on my channel. I've done it when I've talked about my aunt. I've done it and thought, I said to people, when she passes, I'm going to have a lot of support around me. And you'll probably get me on a live crying when she leaves.
Yeah.
You all won't notice it or know about it right away, because I've told my daughter the only time we'll show up at your house unannounced and uninvited is when something happens to Mocha or a family member passes. That's what I promised my son-in-law. I'll never show up unannounced, uninvited, unless those two things happen. So she will be found out first before I go telling anybody else. And out of respect for her daughter, I'm not going to say anything until she says something. But I said to guys, if you don't see me for a couple days, know what most likely has happened. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to get connected. I'm going to make sure I'm somewhere getting connection happening. And my people that I've come into, friendship will, know, of course, but connection's too important. It's too important to our mental well-being, along with dealing with fibromyalgia. If we realize we've got people out there dealing with autistic individuals who, when I was working and trying to come home and dealing with cooking and tired and exhausted, I didn't have energy to go out and connect. I was too tired. I'm sure you went through that with your child. It was like, I got to go out and I'm too tired. You know what I mean? Sleep deprived, tired, exhausted.
Yeah.
You're just worn out. And there's days with my fibromyalgia, it's like, I can't go out today. I'm not up to it. And so I remember being on a live one time and somebody says, well, just go out, get off of this thing and just go out. And I said, that's a lot easier said than a lot easier said than done some days.
People who do not deal with disabilities either of their own or in their own families have no concept. And you can't fault them for that, but yet you just want to slap them and say, wake up and smell the coffee.
Absolutely.
Because they're projecting their own experiences, their own limited understanding on to somebody else who has their own life to live within their own ability. And they don't have a concept. They can't comprehend what it's like to be in so much pain you can't sleep.
Exactly.
And yet all you want to do is sleep and you can't get out of bed. Yeah. And I spent years where I spent more time in bed than I did out of bed. And even now there's days where I am so tired, I just don't want to even move. And yet there's still stuff that has to be done.
Yeah.
And to put one foot in front of the other is, you do it because you have to.
Exactly.
It's like that sleep-deprived new mom who gets up and feeds the baby one more time and changes their diaper one more time because it has to be done. And, you know, if you can equate that with chronic pain and disability, then you might be able to grasp the concept of what it's like to live with chronic pain and disability. But there's still not a total correlation there, because eventually that baby will grow up and they won't be so dependent on you. But chronic pain and disability doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't. And I found out this week or last week, I'm sitting there going, why am I hurting more? Bingo. It dawned on me about Thursday on why I was in more pain and why I was dealing with stuff and why I was just having a harder time. Because there's this other side part of it sitting there going, I'm waiting for the dang on shoe to drop. I'm just waiting for the phone call at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I have such a tiny when I talk about tiny, it's my mother, my daughter, my son-in-law, my husband, my aunt, another relative that's not talking to us. I have another aunt in, another place. And that's about it. That's tiny. My husband's family, his mother or grandmother had 6 kids. She has 30 grandchildren plus, 33 grandchildren plus. And if she lives, she's 95, long enough for Christina to have children. It will be her first great-great-granddaughter.
For me, I have my dad and my son. I do have one aunt that's an aunt by marriage that I don't have a lot of communication with. And then I have my husband and his family. And literally, my dad and my son is the last of my living blood relatives. That's it.
It's okay to have a chosen family, even if you have a strong support family.
And I'm building that. I am building that. So,
absolutely.
And that's where my YouTube channel has been such an amazing blessing, because I am making friends and family. And in fact, I have better friendships on YouTube than I do close by, except for one friend that I met in 2009, because I used to go to McDonald's and sit there for hours, and I would crochet and drink my coffee. I'd start with breakfast and end with dinner some days, and just sit there all day long and crochet. And I met this gal because she used to work there, and we became best friends. And she reached out to me the other day. In fact, we don't talk real often, but she reached out to me the other day and told me that she was in the ER. And so now we're keeping close tabs, making sure that she's okay. And but outside of that, local friends and family, she's it. Outside of my son and my dad. And
Hi, Sandy Wendy. That's one of
welcome
my
in,
mods.
Sandy.
That's one of my amazing
Thank
mods.
you, Chris.
Dear friend of mine now. I remember it was probably February. No, it was the eclipse. It was when the eclipse happened. Something was happening. I had those old tapes coming back in my head. And I went in the lifeboat. Great channel. If you guys aren't subscribed, the lifeboat is awesome. You don't have to be dealing with an addiction. I do deal with food addiction, so it's something else I talk about on my channel and my mom's channel. But I was in there and I thought, nobody's going to see me. Nobody's going to, I think, was I a moderator? No, I wasn't a moderator yet. Or I may have been. I can't remember. No, I wasn't a moderator yet. Nobody's going to see me. Nobody's going to pay attention, right? And I put a comment in the lifeboat. I was crying in my coffee. And Tommy saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And he focused in on every almost 2 or 3 comments I put in there. And he said, connection is the key. And he said, and that you're not going to get anything from that corner. And I remember sitting here saying to him at one point, I'm sorry to dump. And he said, Mary, this is your family. You can dump here. You're allowed to dump. We love you. I love you. And he's a big fan of candy corn, so I'll send him like Ohio candy corn, which is really good. He's like, I get the good stuff. And we have Christmas candy corn. We just came out with Valentine's candy corn. So every once in a while, I'll send him like candy corn. I just send him Christmas candy corn. And it's just, it has become this family that has just come together. And then, I just sit there thinking, oh, thank goodness for them. And then I'm a moderator on his fiance's channel, Relatable Reese, which is not for everybody. But we have become this family on both sides. It has just become this huge family from both channels. And it's just like, man, we got each other's back. We're here for support. If you got something to say, hit that big red button. I was, Megan was saying she wanted to start her own channel and possibly, but she was too afraid of the trolls. I said, message me. Anybody is afraid to do it, message me. I will be glad to help you because I ain't going to let trolls win.
Well, and here's the other thing too. What I'm doing here for Mary today, I do for most channels. I won't say all, but I will say most. This is my gift back to my community. And it is my way of giving back to those who have done so much for me. If you have a channel, it doesn't matter if you just started it or if you have 1 million followers. This is my gift to you. It is my way of giving back to you, to promote your channel, to give you exposure and a chance to tell your story about you and your channel. And all I ask, now some people I approach and I ask to do an interview. But if you want a chance to come up here and have an interview and exposure for your channel, there is in the About section on my channel, there is an intake form. I think that's what we had it called. It's an interview request form, something like that. There is a link for that. It's a Google Forms.
You should do one of those. It's a good idea.
Go ahead and fill that out. and give me some time. I will get back to you. What I like to do is I like to take a chance to go get to know your channel. I'll watch some of your lives. Sometimes I will come in and I'll sit in on one of your lives without talking to you, because I want to see the real you, how you really conduct yourself. I will get to know you and your channel. And if I think that it's going to be a good fit, I will reach out to you and we will try to set up an interview. Basically, everybody's going to be a good fit for the most part. The things that I will not promote paranormal, and I will not promote anything that's going to be on the lines of pornography. There's a few other things that I will not promote. If they are diabolically opposed to my core beliefs, I will not promote it. But I will send you an email and I will explain myself to you in a very kind and respectful way. It will all be done very respectfully. But like I said, it is all done very respectfully. And for the most part, pretty much anybody can get an interview with me. I haven't set anything else up recently, but I am going to be setting up new interviews. I only have 2 more scheduled, so anybody interested in doing an interview, fill out the form and I will get back to you. Just give me a little bit of time to do that. So, didn't mean to interrupt the flow here, but it just felt like it fit right there to invite anybody that's interested to fill that form out, and let's
That's a great, I never even thought about doing that.
Yeah, my son helped me do that.
Well, we did that with the Christmas connection cookie. I never thought about doing it for the interview part. I'll have to set one of those up. Good idea.
Yeah. So anyway, we were talking about, your daughter is, she has her channel for doing cosplay. And my son, his niche is technology and electronics. And he's absolutely amazing with it. He has taught me so much. We didn't get his diagnosis with autism until he was about 15. I had spent so much time, so much one-on-one with him. He has a lot of other issues as well. Because of his hearing loss at a very, very, very early age. I spent a lot of time, didn't even know what I was doing was considered speech therapy. But I spent a lot of time with him, teaching him how to speak. So the doctors didn't pick up on his speech issues or the fact that he had hearing loss. Even though I kept saying, look, he's not hearing. He's not hearing. And so he was very young when he got his first hearing aids. And then I had spent so much time working with him. They didn't pick up on some of his other issues. He was 12 when he was diagnosed with ADHD. And then I started working for a developmental therapy agency. Come on, Molly. Come on. Back up, baby girl. I'm sorry. I'm going to mute myself. I've got a sick cat.
Okay. My daughter was diagnosed with bipolar when she was 5, child onset bipolar disorder, and ADHD. And then she was misdiagnosed until she was 11 to actually be autistic, which was, I just said to myself thinking, If only I had known about it, we could have saved ourselves so much. But she was misdiagnosed for many, many years. And that only kind of, it made things much more difficult than they needed to be. as a a mother raising someone with autism. And if you haven't subscribed to Lewis Aka Farm Karma, please do. And go over to Blessed2Crochet because we're only one away. So if you haven't subscribed over to either one of this, you're missing all the fun.
Absolutely.
I don't know if one of your mods would be willing to drop my link or not, but then the people who haven't can hop over there and do it and go and subscribe. But we're just like one away.
Right. We'll get you that one more subscription, I promise. Yes. I don't know. I have one of my outside cats that came in the house about 3 weeks ago, and she holed up in my bedroom, and she won't come out of the bedroom. She's just decided that she likes it in here, but she won't go out to the living room where I feed everybody else. So I have the food that is for the outside cats in the bedroom, and the other cats that live in the house are eating the outside cat food, and it's making their tummies upset.
Oh.
And Molly just, her tummy didn't tolerate it.
Didn't like the food.
Yeah. So, and cats, when they are going to be sick, they make some pretty odd sounds.
Is that a cat? Unfortunately, yes. I am very highly allergic to cats. My daughter called me up recently. She had a moment. She goes, "Can I get a cat?" I said, "Well, it's between the two of you, but just know if you get a cat, I can't come anywhere around." And she goes, "I know." I said, "I don't want to do that, you know." And she was like, it was like, "I'm sorry, but cats don't agree with me. I think they're adorable, and I'd love to have one. I don't quite know what Mocha would do with a cat."
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, with Ronson, we got such a late diagnosis. He didn't get the benefit of getting any of the early intervention therapies, and it was all on me, and I didn't have any supports. And of course, that was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was still very new.
I had someone come in the house within 45 minutes, said, "This child's not bipolar, this is autistic." I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me."
I was working for a developmental therapy agency at the time. In fact, my supervisor, we were having a Christmas party, and it was for all the employees and their families, and my son was with me, and she took one look at him and she goes, "Have you ever had him tested for autism?" And I was like, "No." "He's been tested for ADHD." And she goes, "You need to get him in and get him tested for autism." No. And I'm like, "Are you serious?" And she goes, "Oh yeah." And she started naming all these things, and I'm like, "You're right. Here I've been working with children and adults and learning all about it, and I didn't even see it in my own son." And so we got him in and got him tested, and his official diagnosis was PDD-NOS, pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified. However, we went in and did all the testing, and they ask you thousands of questions and spend hours in a day with you, and then they make their report. And we went back, this was on a Friday, we went back on Monday for the diagnosis, And when we went back, I told the psychologist, I said, there's one piece of information I forgot to tell you. And I said, this is, something that he does, da 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 da. And he goes, if you would have told me that on Friday, his full-blown diagnosis would have been Asperger's.
Which they've taken away, which I think is ridiculous.
Oh, I know. Now it's autism level 1.
It took that whole community and just, I know, it took it all, I remember when Christina, we thought it was just defiance. It was like if we had her bath and then we had her bath and then dinner and we switched that, oh my Lord. I remember she was in first grade. She was about 7 or 8. And thank goodness I didn't have to go to work that day. And she was just crying. And I was like, she was just having an all-out meltdown. I'm like, what is going on? And the day before, her teacher said, now, I'm not going to be here today, but Mrs. Sparkle is. Ding dong, came in the head and go, oh my goodness. I had to get on the phone with the school. It was a private school. I had to get on the phone with the school and say, can you get Mrs. Corrigan on the phone now? And I got her on. I said, this child is flipping out because she thinks you're not going to be there and Mrs. Sparkle is going to be there, and she is terrified. And she got her on the phone. She goes, Christina, now this is Mrs. Corrigan. I'm Mrs. Sparkle. I'm going to be there today. The only way we could get her to school. And they always let her in the side door, to have about 15 minutes before all the kids came in. But it was just that little difference of, I'm looking, Mrs. Sparkle is going to be there. My teacher's not going to be there. Oh my gosh. She was throwing things and screaming and crying. And it was like, it was unbelievable.
I never really went through much of that with Ronson.
I did 3 hours worth.
He was a good child. He just argued his point to the death. To the death. He had a lot of physical problems also. And so he went through some surgeries starting at age 10. Our biggest issue was getting him to go through lab draws and to get him to go through like MRIs when he needed them. I remember one of his first MRIs, he totally flipped out. I mean, flipped out. He was sure that they were going to do something and steal his body and do something whacked out. It was like some aliens were going to take him or something. I don't even remember exactly, but I know he came out of that machine and he grabbed a hold of the handrails and he was just shaking them like this and jumping up and down and screaming and carrying on. It was terrifying. And of course I couldn't go in the machine with him.
No.
And it was so frightening for him. It was frightening for me. And not having a diagnosis, I didn't know what was going on. I thought he was just acting out.
Christina was probably about 3. And of course, at this point, I was a single mother. I was living with my parents because I needed that support. And Christina was about 3, and she just picked up one of those little stools you put to help the kids get up. She picked it up and she literally took it, and she must have been upset about something, and she rammed it right in my back. And I thought, what am I doing wrong as a parent? I got to be doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
For this child to literally pick up this and go running at me. I was at the kitchen sink doing something and ramming in my back. Because her computer was she was just having a meltdown.
Right. And
I go running to the counselor, to a place that helps single mothers with counseling. And there was a gentleman, and I said, and he was amazing. And he just said to me after a little bit of time, he said, there is nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with this child. And that's when we went to Nova. And I'm not blaming Nova, but that's where they diagnosed her. And then we went through 6 years of everybody saying, oh, this is onset bipolar disorder, when it wasn't. It was autistic. You could have knocked me over the feather. I'm like, if we had known that, she literally would go into 3-hour meltdowns. They were exhausting. Yeah. And the best advice I can say to any parent is get behavioral therapy, get it in the house, your child's environment. And we did something, and we're going to do more of them with my daughter and 2 of her behavioral therapists. Both, one of them was her maid of honor at her wedding. Get them in the home, because you're going to see behaviors that you're not going to see outside the house.
Right.
And Jordan was the other main key. She wouldn't be where she was if she had not had Jordan. She came leaps and bounds with him in the process, because what autistic service dogs do is they bring the child from here in, from their world into yours. And having those behavioral therapists, man, they were godsends.
Well, the other thing to remember too is that no 2 autistic people are the same.
Yep.
They are going to be their own unique and beautiful individual people. Now, what I find for myself is, because I'm living in 2 different worlds, I have both, well, 3 actually. I have worked with as a developmental therapy technician. I've worked with the children and the adults. I've raised an autistic child, and now have a beautiful, wonderful, amazing young man who's living successfully on his own. He still receives services. But I am also the spouse of an autistic individual.
Yeah, so am I.
And that's a whole nother world all its own. And finding support as the spouse of an autistic person, that's a whole nother ball game. It's just not there. Because what you get is people saying their behaviors are gaslighting, their behaviors are abuse, their behaviors are all these other things. They're not autistic. You get people telling you that what they're doing are, they can control that, they can do this, they can do that. That's gaslighting. That's this, that's that. Okay, well, you know what? There is such a thing as autism. There's such a thing as schizoaffective disorder. There's such a thing as cognitive behavioral issues, as far as having learning difficulties. And when you bundle all those things together into one human being, you can't call every single behavior abuse. You can't call it all gaslighting. You can't call everything controllable. And so, yes, some of it can be controlled and some of it can be unlearned. Some of it is learned behaviors. But it has to be taken as an individual
case
experience.
Yep. Because my husband's ADHD and he's autistic, never diagnosed properly. Very intelligent man. But, some of what my daughter does is an autistic. She had an autistic moment on Saturday and I had to let her have it. And she was working She drives. That took a while to happen. We didn't do that right when she turned 16 and could have she wasn't ready yet. And one of the other things is make sure that if you are dealing with a child with it, sometimes there's free respite care within your own community. Find it and use it. They would come to our house, and guess what I would do? I'd go sleep. I was tired. So make sure you're self-caring for yourself, because it's really, really important. And two, for the spouse that's going through it, make sure you're getting involved with counseling so you can see if some of the behaviors may be related to the autism or the ADHD or whatever they're going through, or whether it's actual abuse.
Absolutely.
And nobody needs to suffer in silence.
I am so sorry. You definitely need support, and there are definitely some situations that that definitely need to be addressed, and not every autistic person belongs in a relationship. I will say that. And some of them want it, but they don't belong in a marital relationship. And I did not mean to imply that every behavior can be attributed to autism or other diagnoses. There's definitely behaviors that are learned and that absolutely they have full control over. And I am so sorry that you went through that. That's not right.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. My daughter is married, and thankfully she's found a wonderful man. They've had their struggles. They're both of them are extremely intelligent. But they've had to learn, and they've done marriage counseling, and they're being mentored by older, former pastor of his church that's mentoring both of them. But they've had some difficulty because my daughter has her moments, her computer crashes. And if you don't understand autism, you don't quite understand it. They get each other. And she's good for him and he's good for her, but you got to have some counseling.
Yes,
for
definitely.
Sure.
But it's as the spouse of somebody with a neurodivergent diagnosis, it's hard to find support. It's really hard to find other people who understand what you go through and who aren't going to sit there and just automatically assume that what you're expressing is going to be abuse and that you need to leave them. And that's what I found when I reached out to different groups that I did find. They all wanted to label every single behavior as abuse. Now, there is definite abuse, like create and relate what you're expressing. There are definite things that are abuse, and they need to be dealt with.
Exactly.
But then there's also those who just have behaviors that are exhausting.
Yep.
And it is, like you mentioned earlier in the chat, that it is like having another child.
Exactly.
And And I wouldn't trade my husband for anything. We have typical marital issues,
So do we.
just the same as anybody else would have. But then we also have a whole nother set of marital issues involved because we're dealing with neurodivergent behaviors.
Another channel you should connect with is My Other's Keeper, because I think you guys could do a great, co-streaming together as well. She's one that go check out her channel. I'll send it to you. But that's another channel to check out too. If you're dealing with it, she's very good with it. She deals with, bipolar, and she has a lot of good content on her channel. I come on her channel sometimes, but she's, it's all about, we've got to accept each other the way God has designed us and put us together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But don't forget to self-care for yourself. Make sure you're getting therapy. That other person needs to get therapy. One thing my daughter recently said to me is, I don't want her doctor will say, have you gone? She goes, I don't want to dive into it. It's too painful. Because remember, when those people who have autism, empathy and dealing with your emotions, first of all, empathy has to be taught in most autistic individuals. Second of all, if you are someone, and most of them don't handle their emotions well. I mean, I've been called the gamut by my daughter. When their computer crashes, they're not thinking in a clear mind. Their impulsive motive is coming out. And so their emotional state and being able to handle themselves emotionally, it took her a year before she cried over my uncle passed away. She took her a year to cry over that. Yeah. After Jordan passed away, if it hadn't been for a friend on the YouTube, and she's told this story, hadn't been a friend through Instagram, I don't know if I'd have a daughter alive right now. Because that person messaged me, we were friends on Facebook, said, you have got to go check Christina, I'm concerned now. I went downstairs and she's holding the pill bottle in her hand. Because she missed him so much that she didn't want to be here anymore. So connection, nobody needs to suffer in silence. Nobody. Whatever Absolutely. You're going through, let's not do it alone. God never intended for that. Right. Let's do it together. We can accomplish so much more if we do it together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if you're in a situation where you're being abused, you do not deserve to do that or be through that or have to go through it. If somebody is on the other side dealing with anything, autism or whatever they're dealing with, they may need to go seek therapy so they can have the tools in their toolbox to be able to handle life and handle things in the correct manner. Is 100% there and should. And I love my dad, but we went through a lot of years of back and forth stuff. He was through a very abusive upbringing, and I got the wrath of it. And my mother didn't realize how bad it got. And I just think how many years he wasted being anxious and angry, and he should have sought counseling, and they couldn't afford it. And I don't think that's stuff that needs to not be affordable. It needs to.
Absolutely. Something definitely needs there's definitely some things that need to be corrected in our healthcare system.
Absolutely.
And
100%.
Yeah.
But this is why I tell people on my channel, even if you come in and you think, I don't know somebody with autism, I don't know anybody with dementia, I don't have fibromyalgia, I don't know this or that, come in and learn. I guarantee you, if you go through a certain supermarket in the state of Ohio, you're going to run into somebody with autism. I never thought my daughter could be a cashier. She is a cashier as one of her jobs. And then she works with horses as her second. I never thought she could do it. So know what the signs are. If you have an autistic individual, they're not going to be able to do this. They're going to be doing this. And you may think, oh, they're being rude because they're not looking me in the eye. No, it's because most autistic individuals don't look you in the eye.
Well, now there are some exceptions to that.
There are, but a lot of them don't.
If your autistic person has hearing loss, they're going to know how to look you in the eye because they're also reading lips.
So I'm not saying all, but a lot of them.
Right.
Just they have a lot of trouble looking you, and it looks as being rude
Or
when
if
it's
they've
not.
had really good early intervention. Fortunately for my son, he did get early intervention through me teaching him how to speak and how to look at my lips and learn how to form letters. He has hearing loss. It's a familial issue, genetic, a lot of it. Plus, his entire first year of life, he had chronic ear infections. But I taught him to look at the shape of letters and how they were formed, and I taught him to touch my face, touch my throat, and feel how sounds functioned. And so he learned to look at the face and how words were formed, and that's how he learned how to read lips. Yep. And so now he may not look directly into your eyes, but he looks at your face when he's speaking to you. And if he can't see your face, he might miss a lot of what you're saying, even though he wears hearing aids.
Christina's taken as she can somewhat, but even today, and we worked on her with it a lot. She just still has trouble kind of looking you, and it's kind of, you can just see her eyes. It's just hard for her. Right. And when her computer's crashing, she emotionally can't always come out with the best words out of the mouth because she's just overwhelmed. Right. Now she'll call me back and say, Mom, I'm sorry. She's gotten a lot better at it. We had to get to the point with Christina where the therapist said anything was go. Didn't matter what came out of her mouth. I didn't particularly like the cuss words she was using. Anything. Let her say anything, which was really hard. Whatever it is, you got to just be tough, Mama, anything. It was much rather better to do her that than hit me. I've gotten a concussion. I've gotten bruised. My mom's had a finger broken. I mean, there was some times where we were a fist punch, not with us to her, but her to us. You know, where we had to just wrap her up as best we could because we had, arms flailing. So when the behavioral therapist came in and said, all bars off, she can say whatever she wants, she started dying that down and started putting the words in. Jordan was a huge help because before she even got to that point, Jordan was on the case, getting her to calm down and do deep pressure so she could relax before she got there. Mm-hmm. But once we got the autism diagnosis, it was like, man, this whole world opened up to understand why. And Creighton relayed, I'm really sorry that your son had to go through that. And that there's no, that he's not able to seek therapy because of what he went through. Mm-hmm. I am so blessed we had the therapist in the house that not only helped me understand my daughter, but helped her understand herself.
Right.
I think she could do even better. And I keep telling her, they get older and they don't want to listen to Mama, right? Mama doesn't have no idea what they're...
Yes,
I keep saying to her, child, you're going to have kids one day. If you do not go and seek some therapy for some of this stuff, you are going to do it with your children one day. She just doesn't want to dig down yet. She has to be ready when she's ready. But I keep telling her, you don't want to do this. You don't want to show this. You've got to have tools in the toolbox. I think if that's another part of what our channel does, we want people to put tools in their toolbox, to have them at the ready. I'm not a therapist. I'm going to tell you what works for me, but I'm also going to tell you I go see a therapist once a week. And I probably will for the rest of my life, at least once. I don't need them once a week. It'll probably be at least an every other week check-in. Make sure I'm staying where I'm supposed to be.
Same here.
We're all here to help each other. Nobody needs to suffer in silence. And you got to be proud of being who you are, because God's the way God created you.
Absolutely.
So,
that's something. When I was a little girl in first and second grade, I went to a little school in a little town that we lived in, and it was called Southwest Elementary. And so they had a little slogan, and we were the bears. And so they had this great big mounting of a bear, and right below it, and it was in the center of the entryway, and right below it, they had the slogan, and it was Southwest, be your best self. And I've carried that with me all my life. I've always had that as my motto, be your best self.
yeah.
And, who else can be you?
Nobody.
So you might as well be the best you that you can be, because nobody else can be you. And that's something that I have always tried to do, is to be the best me that I can be, because there's nobody else better qualified.
Go over to our channel and look up Scott Thompson's So Proud of Being Me. Gentleman that's blind. He had an accident about 10 years ago, so he can't play the piano anymore. But he had a wonderful, he could have been better than Stevie Wonder, as far as I'm concerned. But I just sing that song. One of the things is, it says in there, it says, even if I go down this road, this dark road by myself, I'm like, not here, you don't. You ain't doing it here. We're not going to allow it. Because I will never be in a position where I'm alone by myself. I don't know what I would have done. About the third, now I don't want to wake my husband up. I could have, but I needed a girlfriend to talk to at that time. And she was also a nurse, so she was able to help me through it. I don't know what I would have done. I just sat there thinking, I'm never going to sleep again. You wake up in a panic attack when you're asleep. It's terrifying. And after I spent an hour, because she's over in Australia, so she's over in a very different, time zone.
Right.
I could go back to sleep. And we did that for about a week. Because it was like Patty's diagnosis, and then that other thing that happened, and then she knew what was coming up. And I just think, if I had not toggled onto the lifeboat, God has amazing plans. I'm thinking, my love for Elvis music, which helped me through so much when I was growing up, love for his music, it's something that I was just interested in, not because I would ever follow that, because I wanted to understand more about why they would go down that path. Landed me on a channel I would have never thought I was needed to be on. I'm not an addict. I don't do drugs and alcohol. But I use food to hide pain. Done it my entire life.
Same.
And
I used to be that way.
I found family in that. And I have met some amazing people. And here's my tip. Any content creator that's out there, do not stay in your lane when it comes. Stay in your lane as far as keeping your business, and all that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about in the sense of staying in your lane. If I'd stayed in the crochet lane, and I'm just going to go to crochet channels and connect that way, I wouldn't have met Karma. I wouldn't have met some amazing people. So if you're, whatever niche you're in, go find as many live, channels are doing lives or have community in the focus, and get in their channels, start connecting with people. I'm in with fishing channels, homestead channels. I don't necessarily like the garden, but I like watching it. I'm in gardening channels, sewing channels, paint pouring channels, tuber chat. I'm just all over the place. Wherever I can find the community, I'm in. Don't stay in that I think a better way of saying, don't stay in that niche. In order to make your comfort zone bigger, you have to step out of it. If I had not stepped out of it, I wouldn't be where we are today.
Absolutely.
My mom says, if anybody could do it, I knew you could do it. That's what she said my entire life. She said secretly, I didn't know how Mary was going to raise $15,000 for that dog. I had never told you that, but I questioned it. And then I sat there thinking, it's Mary. She's going to find a way. Dang on it, did I find a way. Because I don't let a lot of things keep me down. I just keep going. I keep plugging. And at the end of it, I want God getting the glory. He can get the glory at the end of it. I don't need it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have been on here for 2.5 hours.
How time goes when you're having fun.
It does. I would love to do a live with you sometime where we can just talk about our experiences with autism. And it doesn't even have to be on a Monday. We could just do it on another day where we can just have a chance to connect over autism and our other disability connections. Something that I have wanted to do with my channel is to make people, I want people to be comfortable enough to reach out. I want people to know that this is a safe place and that I've been through a lot, and chances are I know what you're going through. And you can reach out, you can connect with me, and we can figure it out together. And if I can't help you, then I can probably find somebody who can. And
I'd be glad to stream it on mine because I have the capability of co-streaming it.
Okay.
So I'll be glad to do it. Just a little side note with that is I think that there has been some issues, and there was one content creator that brought up that maybe co-streaming can be an issue because YouTube looks at it as similar content. My way of looking at it from what I've done and researched and what even Tuber Chat has talked about is I think the panels are great, a great way to co-stream and have them co-streamed on both channels. I just think that if you're going to do it, you got to make sure that you have enough of your own content on your channel. So it's not just you co-streaming with another person and that's all it is. I think then it can be looked at as reuse content. I think you have to have content of your own. Mm-hmm. And then if you bring people and you co-stream on occasion, it's not overshadowed by the amount. If you come to ours, there's a lot of our own content on there. Absolutely. And so I haven't gotten flagged. I don't want to sit here and say to people, maybe they have gotten flagged for doing that. But I just think that if you're going to do panels, you have to kind of be careful that it may look to YouTube. Of course, you have to appeal it and all that, and you can. As reuse content, you just got to walk it through with saying, do I have enough content on my channel to kind of support that? Mm-hmm. That's my way of looking at it. And I'm very careful how I do it and when I do it.
Right.
But I have the ability. I'll be glad to do it.
All right.
So,
sounds good. Well, before we go, I want to just see if anybody has any questions for Mary in regard to her channel, her mom's channel, their channel.
Yeah, it's our channel.
Are there any questions at all for Mary? While we're waiting for questions to come in, I just want to tell you how much I've enjoyed this conversation and getting to know you. You really do have a wonderful, wonderfully supportive and loving, caring channel. And anytime I've stopped in, I stop in now and then, and I don't always comment or anything, but I do watch. And it's always so supportive and so caring. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that, knowing that it's there if I ever need a little encouragement.
We have a private Facebook group. It's on our link tree. It's the Lighthouse Beacons. And I just tell people, if you ever need the Lighthouse on, go in there and tell me.
Okay.
I'll have to look that up, Alfonso, as far as what law about it. Service animals in Ohio. Usually the law is pretty much any city or any state is going to be underneath ADA law.
I believe, Alfonso, that it is a national thing according to the ADA that businesses are prohibited to ask about your service animal, and that they are required to allow entry if it is an actual service animal. And that does, I believe, include the emotional support animals.
And we're going to be talking about that on Living My Best Life, about all those things, because people need to understand them and understand it. And like I said, even if you don't know, and that's something you're not going to experience, it's good to have that knowledge.
Okay, and Crafty Witch would like to know, how do you find the time to reset on bad weeks?
Crochet. I do what I can, and my community knows if you get and my mom's community knows if you get a message on the community tab that says my tank is empty, I don't have it, they know. I've done a live from bed. I mean, I'll go on my phone, and I've done it if that's how I have to connect with people. And when I'm not feeling it, I learned my lesson on Saturday. Even I got that boost I needed, but it was like, you know what? If you're not feeling it, then don't go on. If you're in and you've got to connect, if you've got to connect privately with somebody, say, I'm really struggling. And it's okay to come on and cry. I've come on my channel and cried when I'm having a really bad week. I have to, when we get off here, I have to finish recording day 2 and day 3 of devotions. And I was hoping to maybe get it further along, but I know I'm going to need to rest the rest of the evening. So you got to self-care for yourself and understand you're living with a chronic illness. It's not something to, but it's something to take in the side note that say, if I don't take care of myself, I try not to schedule doctor's appointments and much on anything on Monday because I'm tired from Sunday.
Yeah.
So,
are you familiar with the spoon theory?
Yes, I am. I love that. My spoons are about empty right now.
You only have so many spoons, and once you run out of spoons, that's it.
Yeah.
You can't borrow from next week.
No. Oh, I'm sorry, hon. Big hugs, Crafty. Take it easy. And look, too, to see if you've had 4 bad days. If there's something stressful going on, I guarantee you it'll affect your pain level. Absolutely will affect it. If there's stuff going on, it will affect it.
Also, how you've been eating. How you've been eating can affect how your body is reacting also.
Exactly.
So,
and if you need me, you can reach out to me if you just need someone to talk to. And we have a saying on our channel too, if people come in and wonder what the disco balls are all about. We have a channel or a saying on our channel that says a disco ball is a bunch of broken pieces of glass. It's put together to make a magical ball of light. You ain't broken, you're a disco ball. And so that disco ball is kind of taken off. All of our membership milestones all have disco balls, and we have the thank you very much membership, which is just channel support. And then we have the Blessed Disco Ball membership. That's just a little bit higher. That just gives videos out to them first. But if people come in and hear us talking about disco balls, they'll know what it is, because we're proud disco balls over there.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions for Mary? I've only seen just a couple of questions, but this really has been a good conversation, and I'm looking forward to our next one, where we can actually just sit and discuss disabilities. And that's something that's very near and dear to my heart, and something that I want people to know. It's okay to talk about disabilities and how to move forward with your disabilities. You can live with your disabilities. Yes. Your disability doesn't have to own you. You can own your disability.
And that's why I think you and Kim will get together well, because I think you could have a great discussion too there as well.
Okay.
So I will pass you on to her channel as well, and it's at my other's keeper. But she would be a great one too. I'll send her the interview link to her too as well, because I think she would be a great one. You'd have a great discussion. She's a wonderful lady. She actually does paint pour, and she sent me this for Christmas.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm a big snowman person. I love snowmen. I was raised in Florida, moved into Ohio, but I love snowmen.
Oh, hard neck. That is so hard when you need help and you can't get it. I know where you're coming from. That's tough. Well, I would love to continue this conversation today, but I am limited on how many hours I have left on the free version of StreamYard, and I don't want to run out.
No, you don't want to run out.
But if there are no other questions, I want to thank everybody who has been here in chat and also in the background. You are all very important to me, and I appreciate everybody being here, being active in chat, and even just being active in the background, listening and participating in your own way. It's very important to me and to Mary. If you've never checked out Mary's channel, please go and take a look. And it's not just crochet. It's about connections. It's about being there for each other. And
we got to 1,400. So thank you all very much. See, we did it. Onward and upward.
Absolutely. So anyway, please do check her out. Share her channel out. Even if it's not your cup of tea, you might know somebody who could benefit from what she is doing. And she's doing an amazing, amazing work for so many people. And so please do check it out.
And I think that we forget the power of people in the chats. You have social media. If you like a content creator, take the video, hit the share button, put it on your social media. You do not know where that's going to go or who's going to need to hear that at the time. You all have the power to be able to have these content creators like Karma, like me, and like others to keep moving forward and exposing them to your people. So don't forget, you got that power.
Absolutely. And Ronson, thank you for the links that you're sharing out. And
thank you very much,
Chris. If you haven't already hit the thumbs up, please, on your way out, if you would hit the thumbs up for me, I would greatly appreciate it. And drop a comment in the comment section on your way out. That will really help also. I will be back here tomorrow afternoon, actually, night for a lot of you. I go live on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock Mountain, 5 o'clock Eastern for Taco About It Tuesday, where we just sit and hang out. Tacos not required. We just hang out and have a chat. As I like to call it, we have a chin wag. And we just talk about it, whatever it may be. You never can tell. And then on Thursday, we will begin chapter 1 of our book, The Peace and Power. Oh, there we go. Kind of maybe. The Peace and Power of Knowing God's Name. We're looking at the just 15 names of God that are mentioned in the Bible.
That's awesome.
And we're starting chapter 1 this week. I am so excited. So excited for this.
And if you need devotions, there are about 33 of them. and just so people know, with the devotions, there's a first video I would encourage you to watch. It calls Understanding the Thumbnails. And every month we're changing the background color of the thumbnail so people can realize blue was for January, pink was for February, and ongoing, and what those colors mean biblically as well. So, you can pay attention to what thumbnail color it is to what month it's going to be.
Okay, so there's another source for devotions if you're interested in checking those out as well. And And so Thursday we begin the first chapter on knowing God's name. And then we will be back on Monday with another Meet Me Monday, and we'll be introducing a new creator to you. So I hope you will connect and join us again. So thank you again for being here. I'm going to go ahead and close this out.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Next time. Bye, guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Have a